Now available in paperback and Kindle, vampires stalk the darkness of the Eternal Night. Get your copy of Eternal Night in paperback and Kindle on Amazon.com. The more I hear about the Marvel Studios Blade reboot, the more I cringe about what they're going to put together in the final product. Now, your Marvel Studios has come out and said that there will be no canon as related to their adaptation of Blade, and that is a very troubling statement when you think about it critically. Now, the 1998 movie Blade, starring Wesley Snipes, was a major film for the entire superhero movie genre, because in 1997, many people thought that the superhero movie genre was dead after the complete failure of Batman and Robin at the box office. However, in 1998, when Wesley Snipes came out with Blade, it practically revitalized a dead genre of movies and practically brought the superhero movie back to life. And Wesley Snipes' adaptation of Blade was so popular, it practically became canonized as the version of the character, and Wesley Snipes' version of Blade to this day is considered to be the version of the character. Now, you would think that your Marvel Studios would want to try to keep everything in line with the Wesley Snipes Blade to ensure they would have a box office hit. Unfortunately, we live in the era of social justice, and your social justice types, they want to take the Blade character possibly in a different direction. And your Disney also wants to take the character in a different direction because they think they can make this vampire character who hunts vampires more appealing to younger audiences. So what they want to do is make a PG-13 version of Blade to appeal to families and children, something completely diametrically opposed to the genre of vampire movies and completely diametrically opposed to the character. Now, your Blade, when it came out in 1998, was an R-rated movie, and it was an R-rated movie for a reason, because the vampire genre is an extremely violent one, and as an extremely violent genre, you have scenes of vampires biting people's necks and sucking blood, scenes of people being mutilated, and scenes of bodies exploding. And this is all par for the course for the horror genre that Blade was a part of, and all par for the course for the vampire genre that Blade is a part of. And I know from experience with my novel Eternal Night, there is no escaping putting that type of horrific violence inside of a vampire story, because it is core to the foundation of the genre ever since it was established by Bram Stoker with the classic novel Dracula. And just like 1994's Bram Stoker's Dracula, it was a movie filled with horrific violence and was R-rated. And in addition to the violence, there is also a sexual component to vampire movies that has been there ever since the whole creation of Dracula in the 19th century and 1931's Dracula. So this is all core to the themes of the genre, and this is all part of it. When you have a vampire movie, you are going to have gory, violent scenes, you are going to have mutilations, you are going to have death, you are going to have people on fire, you are going to have lots of blood and gore, and you're also going to have a lot of nudity and sex scenes, because that's all part of the genre. Because when you think about your vampire movies, you think about sexy women in shimmery nightgowns being seduced by a handsome vampire who is out to suck their blood. I mean, that is par for the course when it comes to the genre, and adult themes are a major part of any effective vampire movie, whether it be 1931's Dracula, the 1980s movie The Lost Boys, 1994's Bram Stoker's Dracula. When you think of really good vampire movies, you know that an R rating is connected to those kind of movies because there are certain elements that are key to that whole genre that are just having adult themes and things like nudity and sexual situations. That is all part of the vampire genre, and it has always been part of the vampire genre, again, ever since Bram Stoker wrote the first Dracula. I mean, the whole character of Dracula is that he is a predator who goes out here and takes advantage of the weak and tries to use them towards keeping himself alive, even though he is undead. And the whole demonic theme of vampires is also adult themed. So making a PG-13 Blade, again, runs counter to everything as related to the character. And a PG-13 Blade that is not part of the canon as related to what Wesley Snipes has established is guaranteed to be a complete disaster. Now, your Disney probably thinks it will appeal to all of these young kiddies by giving people a PG-13 Blade, but the more I hear about this PG-13 Blade and its extremely dull edge, I don't really see anything that many fans would find exciting about this kind of movie. Because when I look at everything that they're putting together for this Blade reboot, it's going to possibly crash because we're not getting the character that Wesley Snipes gave us on the screen. No, what we're looking to get is a neutered, emasculated, softer version of the character. And when it comes to vampire movies, there's nothing soft about the genre. When people watch vampire movies, they are looking for a scare, they are looking for violence, they are looking for gore, and they're looking for nudity and sex, and they're not looking for some PG sanitized version of this genre, because this genre was never this at all. And I know this from experience when I was writing my novel Eternal Night. When I wrote Eternal Night, there was no escaping putting certain scenes in that story as related to the Malice character and how predatory he was, and there was no escaping putting nudity in there. There was no escaping putting violence in there, and there was no escaping putting graphic horror violence in this type of genre, because this is a horror genre, and any attempt to try to sanitize it usually winds up with you creating an extremely weak product. And you don't want to create a weak product because everybody knows that the vampire genre has certain elements, and it looks like your Marvel Studios may possibly want to try to remove those elements to promote other things like social justice and identity politics, but that's not what people come to a vampire movie for or read vampire novels for. No, they read it because the vampire story is a commentary on the human condition, and I know this again from experience writing Eternal Night. It's about showing how a person has so much to lose by walking away from God, and how you walk into this darkness, and this darkness just shows you how bad things truly are, because the vampire is a predator who stalks and preys on humans, and he does this because he makes a compromise with the devil, because he wants to have eternal life on earth and be hedonistic. So these are all core themes that, again, you're not going to be able to do in a PG-13 way and a Disney-fied way. I mean, Disney needs to stick to singing teacups and stuff like they have in their princess movies, because if you cannot go out here and sanitize anything like the vampire genre, I mean, vampire genre is R-rated. The vampire genre is filled with violence, and again, your Blade is a guy, again, even though he's a daywalker, he's out at night slaying vampires. And if you're gonna do vampires, you can't do it in a family-friendly way. So
I look at this Blade movie made by Disney, that a product that it runs diametrically opposed to everything the brand is all about, and I see a complete disaster coming to Marvel Studios because they don't have the backbone or the stones to go out here and really do the genre right. Now, if you want to check out how I write vampires who stalk in the darkness, you can pick up my novel Eternal Night on Amazon.com. And if you want to pick up something featuring vampires for younger readers, you can pick up my book Isis Bride of Dracula, Isis Night of the Vampires, and Isis Escape from Transylvania. And in those stories, I show you the darkness of the vampire, and you can check that out too. So there's a lot of great vampire stories on the SJS Direct imprint, and I'm hoping you pick some of them up. That's all. And if you would like to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.
Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, Bride of Dracula. Goddess Next Door and John Haynes team up to take on the dark vampire in this action-packed Isis series adventure. Get Isis, Bride of Dracula in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers today.